Raider Nation, what's going on? It's good to be back. We're live here on the Raiders Report. I'm Mitchell Renz. We got a lot of news to talk about after Monday Night Football. We're going to talk about Aidan O'Connell. We're going to talk about Antonio Pierce. If you missed the video that I put out about, 3-4 hours ago, there's an update on Sincere McCormick. I said in that video that he's more than likely done for the season. McCormick posted on his Instagram that I'll see you next season. So, that just goes to show that he's not going to be playing for the rest of the year. And literally at this time that I am going live right now, Janarius Robinson has been suspended 3 games without pay for violating the NFL substance of abuse policy. So you add that to the fact that the guy had a DUI earlier this season. Can we just move on from Janarius Robinson at this flipping point right now? What we got coming up for all of y'all is a lot of good news and nuggets about the silver and black. I'm going to give a take on Aidan O'Connell. I'm going to talk about Antonio Pierce and whether or not I think he's going to be back again. I think for a lot of the people that watch this show religiously, or every day, if you don't want to talk about religion, are probably going to know some of the ins and outs of some of the things that I'm going to discuss here with AP. Over the weekend when I was in Las Vegas, I had somebody tell me another quarterback not named Shedeur Sanders that is popping up on the Raiders draft board, popping up on some Raiders discussions. So I'm going to be breaking down the Raiders QB draft plan that was discussed to me over the weekend. Then we're going to get into a Raiders mailbag, so it's hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat to skip the line. I got to know, though, from everybody watching right now, we got 3 games left. Are you Team Tank? I'm going to be Team Tank for the next 3 games, and I get it. I had a guy like Nabman saying, I can't be Team Tank. That's okay. I'm not going to be up here saying that you're blah, 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 blah if you don't want to be Team Tank, just like I don't think anybody should be yelling at me for wanting to be Team Tank. I believe that being Team Tank helps the Raiders in the future. For that reason, that's why I'm part of Team Tank. But, let's get one thing straight here. I'm already sick and tired of the amount of hate and bullshit that I'm seeing amongst the nation, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube. If you're a Raiders fan, it's not for any other reason. It's just the fact of you're a fan. You can root for whatever the hell you want to root for. What up, King Shabby says yes. Asithea says yes. I am Team Tank. Don't get me wrong. I hate being Team Tank. I don't think anybody wants to be Team Tank. But when the Raiders put you in that situation, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Somebody said Team Tank, but for Bowers, I need him in fantasy. Hey, man, you want to root for somebody in fantasy? If you're in a PPR league right now, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers are probably the only 2 guys that I would consider starting for the silver and black for the remainder of the season. FBA is going to go with a yes. Mateus, I'm doing pretty good, man. Raider Hype, Mitch. Some people don't know how the draft works. Not everybody understands. I don't think it's that not everybody understands. I just think that people are afraid to admit something where they could get backlash from. In fact, one of my biggest pet peeves that social media I think is done, and I hate cancel culture. And I've had a lot of people being trying to cancel me for wanting to be Team Tank. I want people to be able to stand up and do whatever they feel like is the best for them. And I want them to say it with their chest, say it and be proud. That's why I've been proudly saying I'm Team Tank, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me. I'm a Raiders fan, right? People don't do or watch the Raiders. How many people out there are a bandwagon 2-12 football team? You know what I'm saying? If I was a Chiefs guy, all right, that's a little bit different because they've been good year in and year out. The Raiders haven't been good in a long time. So if you're a Raiders fan, believe me, man, you don't got to prove anything to me. Hype, I got you. It's all love down there, man. Ricardo, Carr, you guys need to stop it. Yeah, I saw people talking about DC. I saw somebody earlier in the chat say that Aidan O'Connell is going to get traded for a 3rd-round pick. Well, here's the thing. If you want to talk about that stuff, you can use hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat to skip the line, because that's some of the stuff that I want to talk about here today. But out of all the live shows that I have done on Tuesday, I think that this is going to be one of those shows that really gets people interested, really gets people thinking about some of the stuff that I'm saying, especially the first 2 segments, because it's going to be around the quarterback draft plan that I was told, and then we're talking about Aidan, and we're talking about Antonio Pierce. Today's going to be a fun live show, no doubt about it. K-Rock, what's up, my man? I see ya. Alex Swanson says, stick with Ritter as the Raiders QB. We're going to talk about that. Don't worry about it. Chug said, speaking of fun, because Ritter at quarterback position just screams nothing but fun. Seriously, though, if you want to have some fun watching the Raiders, if you want to have some fun, maybe hanging out with Chugs tonight on Thursday Night Football, we got something for you. It's Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Just make sure that you use code CLNS. Join now because the holiday season is here, and Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. Download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. If you're wondering, what am I going with for Prize Picks this week? This is the lineup that Chugs has put together, and all I see is, I'll tell you what, for Thursday Night Football, I'm looking at this one right now. I like it, dude. It's pretty sneaky. It's pretty damn sneaky. Also sneaky is the amazing deals that you're going to get on Game Time. Last-minute tickets, that lowest price guaranteed, views from the seats. If you're trying to find a good holiday gift, something that you might never have thought of before, get tickets to an event, dude. Like, you're going to be able to create lasting memories, and Game Time is all about togetherness and trying to create those lasting memories during this holiday season. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS. Download the Game Time app. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Shout out to Game Time. Shout out to them for sponsoring the Raiders Report. All right, y'all, so we got 200 people here in the building as it stands right now. I want to talk here a little bit about the Raiders. If you want to let me know where you're watching from, always appreciate it. But let's get some hashtag Raiders going. Let's get some questions flowing in here. It's the only way that Tuesday works because I'll answer some questions. We're going to be a little interactive. If we don't get any questions, it makes it really difficult for the mailbag. And if we see a good question now, I might save it for the bag, just so you guys know, just for the bag, which that's probably going to be in about, I don't know, an hour to 90 minutes from now. I do want to get into my other 2 segments, though, coming up here, man. Watching from my car from Ed Robbins. All right, I got you. King Shav in York, PA. York, PA is an interesting spot, dude. York was actually one of the very first colleges that reached out to me about trying to play baseball. Again, I'm from central Pennsylvania. I got hurt my senior year, so not many people even knew who the hell I was. Not saying that anybody would have knew who the hell I was anyway, if I didn't get hurt. But York, PA, that was one of the very first schools I ever went to go look at. If you are just joining us right now, some of the Raiders news that literally just happened. Sincere McCormick, he posted on his Instagram story, I'll be back for next season, indicating that he's done. Again, we made a video on it about 4 hours ago talking about that. Janarius Robinson's been suspended for 3 games. His season is over. And then also Max Crosby is having surgery, I believe, at this current moment, or having surgery. He's definitely having surgery today on that ankle, and hopefully we get an update on it maybe by the end of today. What up, Bernie? Sonic or is that BK for Burger King? Here's the thing. I've had Burger King way more than I've had Sonic.
I've had Sonic way more than I've had Burger King.
I would take Sonic, though, over Burger King.
Same.
Like, in fact, I'm going to be 32 years old. The first time I had Sonic, I want to say I was 30 years old.
Really?
It didn't happen until I came down here.
Sonic's big in Texas, so I've had it my entire life. Can't go wrong with the slushies.
Burger King was one of 2 fast food restaurants in my hometown. Growing up, it was Wendy's and it was Burger King. Those were the only 2 fast food
Fluffer,
restaurants.
I'm sorry, no disrespect. BK probably has the worst fries in the fast food game. If I'm looking at French fries,
In-N-Out has the worst fries in the fast food game.
I mean,
the only good fries from Burger King are like the chicken fries.
Yeah, the chicken fries are the only good thing at Burger King.
Yeah, I'll be real. I don't even really remember eating Burger King all that often. It was a place that I could walk to, though, if I was at my aunt's. So I'll admit I did go to plenty Burger King growing up, no doubt about it. K-Rock, hypothetically, we don't get a decent QB in the draft, sign Darnold. If so, what OC would make him continue to be effective? It's a good question. It's just, I don't want to say it's never going to happen. Like, I'm telling y'all right now, it's a 100% chance that the Raiders will draft a quarterback this season. Maybe the different discussion would really come down to, okay, the Raiders don't get their quarterback that they really, truly want. They have another name in mind. I'll discuss who that is coming up here on today's show. But then, could you go out and get a Sam Darnold? Yeah, you could. I wouldn't do it because would anybody here right now pay Sam Darnold $40 million a year? Like, don't get me wrong. What he's doing in Minnesota is fun to watch. They also have Justin Jefferson. I think they also have a bright, offensive-minded coach. The Vikings defense has played a lot better, and Sam Darnold is doing a great job. What I don't think is going to happen, though, is I don't think Sam Darnold's going to turn into like what Baker Mayfield is. And that's what you're kind of hoping for. You're kind of hoping that Darnold is able to take his career and kind of mold it the way that Baker did down there in Tampa Bay. But, like, real talk, I'm not paying Sam Darnold $40 million per year. Would you rather pay Sam Darnold $40 million per year, or would you rather pay, and I know it's going to be crazy, Aidan O'Connell 1.2 and take that $40 million that you're saving and go out and get a T. Higgins, go out and get another starter on the defensive side of the football? Like, you would be able to re-sign Robert Spillane. You'd be able to re-sign Trevon Merrick, go out and sign T. Higgins. Those three players in Aidan O'Connell or just Sam Darnold. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Then you could just draft Quinn Ewers in the 4th.
You don't want Quinn Ewers.
We thought you were going to have a reverse on that shit yesterday at Myers cut the ball.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was sweating. Yesterday was the first Raiders game that I was legitimately nervous since probably week 5. It felt good to be back, though, and, like, rooting for something.
Quinn Ewers would be the best quarterback on the Raiders roster tomorrow, by the way.
You said Quinn Ewers would be the best quarterback on the Raiders roster tomorrow? I actually don't think Quinn's better than Aidan right now, but I do think Quinn's got a higher ceiling than Aidan does as a QB. He's definitely better than Desmond Ridder, because Desmond Ridder is absolute booty cheeks.
I am still waiting on that $50 Venmo.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's still time. There's still time.
Double or nothing?
No, I can't do that. What's the reverse of double or nothing? I'll take that one. Let's go to my man, the myth, the legend, David Zahn. Who's not excited for the past season? New motto, play Ridder.
For this postseason.
Oh, for the postseason. I'm actually really excited for the postseason. I was telling Chugs the other day, like, if 3 teams from the AFC West was going to end up making the playoffs, in my mind I go, okay, if the playoffs were to start today, we could do a watch party for the Buffalo Bills up against the Chargers. Everybody watching this show right now is going to root for Buffalo. That's awesome. Then you got the 3 seed,
which is Steelers.
The Steelers, we'd root for Pittsburgh up against the Denver Broncos. Easy one. Then you got the Ravens and Texans.
I don't know.
Dude.
Because
who would you guys root for, the Steelers or the Broncos? Everyone here is picking the Steelers.
All I know is old school Raider fans, old school guys, hate the Steelers.
They do hate the Steelers.
No
way it's more than they hate the Broncos.
Broncos, Steelers in the playoffs. Who are you rooting for?
I think people are going to root for Pittsburgh. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Chugs is about to prove me wrong here. But I would imagine in any scenario, y'all are going to root for Pittsburgh over the Denver Broncos. Who would you root for, Steelers or Broncos? Let me know down below. But then also what's good about that is...
Zahn said Chugs isn't wrong, but then I also see 3 Steelers in the chat. So.
Yeah, hey, I know that people hate the Steelers. I get it. I get the rivalry. But it's like Steelers hate is here, and then I would say Broncos hate is up here. I would almost look at it, and maybe it's not 49ers.
I think everybody answering right now is below the age of 55 who's like, I'd root for the Steelers. I doubt anybody over the age of 60 would be like, I want the Steelers to win.
West Pittsburgh Raider. I hate them both. That's an interesting name. Especially from a guy from Pittsburgh, from what it sounds like. I mean, I hear you, Steelers all day, F Denver, but then also you got the 4-seed Texans up against the Ravens, the 5-seed. Now, I wouldn't do that watch party here on the Raiders Report, but Chugs would do it over on Texans.
And then we'd all root for the Texans, right?
And we would all root for the Texans there. Yeah. I would. I'd root for the Texans over the Ravens.
I would say...
Only for you.
Ravens and Texans, I feel like, are very neutral teams to the Raiders.
I will say this, though.
I mean, I guess
the only reason why I would root for Houston would be for you. The other reason I would root for Baltimore is because I don't think Texans are good enough to beat the Chiefs. I do think that Baltimore can beat Kansas City, and that would be my logic. Like, transparency, that would be my logic.
Raiders OG said, correct, Chug, 63, and I hate the Steelers. See, Zalesbo, you do not look 51. When we met you in person, I thought you were in your,
51?
Yeah, I thought you were in your, late 30s.
Oh, I was going to say, I was like, how do you know that? And then I didn't see it in the chat, so that's on me. Honestly,
I do know,
good for you.
From watching the Ravens 30 for 30, I do know there's some bad blood between like early 2000s Ravens, Raiders with the whole Tony Siragusa, Al Davis. Siragusa was going to sign with the Raiders, and then something happened between him and Al Davis. I forgot what it was. And then he ended up hurting Rich Gannon.
Was it a catch? That's the original was it a catch. A lot of people would say. I mean, there's one Raiders fan who DMs me all the time, and he's like, I have proof that it wasn't a catch. And I'm always like, you got to send it to me. And I never get anything. And I'm like, was it a catch? I don't really know. You know how they say black don't crack? Apparently the Lesbos don't either. Let's go to, we got a few super chats coming in here. Down below, I see Real Cowboy, John Rodriguez, Lo Cho. Reminder, if you want to get your questions, comments on this program, you can send in a super chat. I want to go through these three right here, and then I want to go into the very first segment on today's show. Steelers all day, F the Denver Broncos. My goal today is to stay live until 5 o'clock my time, so basically it would be a 2-hour live stream. I will be very transparent, though. Not that my eye hurts. It just feels tired, and it probably looks a little bit tired.
It's probably where did the glasses help earlier?
It's not a lights problem. My problem is my right eye I can't see out of. My left eye I can see, so it's like always a counterbalance, and it kind of just gives me a headache a little bit. That's the only way that I can describe it. So I do want to try to get through my segments a little bit earlier than I usually do. That way, you get the best out of me.
Sin said Zalesbo drinking that beaver juice to look young.
I didn't say that. You did. Oh, my goodness. John Rodriguez, 51. Go Donkeys. All right, so here's an example of somebody flat out telling you that they're going to root for the Broncos over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, again, there's still 3 more games to go. There's a lot of different scenarios that can end up panning out, but it does look like 3 teams from the AFC West are going to end up making the playoffs. And if that ends up being the case, then, I know exactly who I'm rooting for. Let's go to my man Lo Cho. Hey, Pookie Wookie. Chuggy Wuggy held it down good. I don't know how these started. How did the Pookie Wookie thing even start?
You know, Pookie.
Do I?
Yeah.
I don't remember how it started. I know it happens all the time, but I don't remember how it started, man. Alan said Mitch needs an eye patch. So it's funny because I did wear an eye patch in Week 14 when the Raiders and Buccaneers played because of my eye, but a doctor told me to not wear an eye patch, so I'm not going to do that. Which game scares you the most out of these 3 games? Now, I'm Team Tank, so I ask this to everybody out there that is also Team Tank. Which game scares you the most of, holy shit, the Raiders might run into a win? Is it J, against the Jags, S, Saints, C, Chargers? Which game scares you the most?
Honestly, I think the Saints.
Is it the Saints game?
I think because
it's on the road.
If it's not Derek Carr, then I'm worried because I think the Saints quarterbacks are much worse than Mac Jones.
I agree with that.
And Jay Kaner, maybe
Jay Kaner's definitely worse than Mac Jones.
Spencer Rattler. That just screams a ton of picks.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I will say this, going to New Orleans, that's a tough place to play. And I actually think that the Saints players will want to win that game for Derek Carr. Like, I don't think that any Raiders players, if they're not going up against DC, there's no, real... But you could say what you want about DC from a talent standpoint. Every person that has ever played with Derek Carr has nothing but nice things to say about him. And, wouldn't you want your teammate, a captain on your team, even if he's not able to play, to go out there and, you want your team to win? And the Saints are trying to win.
Zahn said the good news is we don't get a lot of those picks.
For what?
Like interceptions.
Oh, yeah. That was funny. It was Kirk Cousins, for example. He's got all these interceptions. He did throw one. He tried to throw 1 or 2 other ones in there as well.
He almost threw one to
John Lalu.
Lalu.
It was a hell of a play. For a defensive tackle to drop back into coverage, Cousins just blindly threw that one over the middle. But these 3 games, all 3 of them scare the hell out of me. They really do. What up, Malachi? Choke on a male chicken is better than rooting for the Donkeys.
I think he wants you to replace male chicken with something else.
I mean, if you want, we actually have a male chicken in the back that we could choke. Here, I'll go show you. Here, I'll be right back.
All right. Well, Mitch is going to be right back. I thought they were all laughing at me. This is what's coming up on today's show. The latest news and rumors. Can I assume that's the long way? Yes. We have Raiders draft rumors and then a Raiders mailbag, so keep on getting those hashtag Raiders questions in. Mitch is going to choke a chicken. Oh, that's not choking it.
Well, it's the only way that's going to... Oh, 2 hands. I needed 2 hands.
It's usually easier when you do it with 2 hands.
All right, I'll tell you this right now. If it's Steelers-Broncos, I'm going to use this chicken somehow on that game, and only the people that are watching this show are going to get it. Nobody else is going to understand it. But we're going to be choking some chickens during the playoffs.
Two-handed. Look, this isn't your first time choking a chicken.
Yeah, I'll be real. That chicken's a little bit bigger than the chicken I'm used to choking.
Yeah.
That one's a little bit out of. I'll tell you what, that chicken's been choked before. Let's just say that. He's seen better days.
It's ribbed.
Yeah, he's seen better days, no doubt about it. I thought he was being for real, Mateus. I mean, we have random things in the office, and when you guys said it, I instantly was like, we actually have a chicken that you can choke. Or do you guys just think Jeremy just has like a pen in the back, and when somebody misses their lunch order, they're like, here's another one. Fresh chicken.
Fresh.
I'll tell you this. Growing up as a kid, that's how we used to have to do it.
Aggressive macerator. Now we're speaking my language.
Oh, my. He's like, this is why I subbed right here. This is it, man.
He's like, darn. I showed up to the right live stream.
That's aggressive. Everyone give aggressive a round of applause down below. Though Darth said, if you're going to choke the chicken, you also got to slap the salami, which this is getting out of control. Derek, is this the worst Raiders team in the last 25 years? Oh, man. It's definitely up for discussion. Now, is it one of the worst Raiders teams at the beginning of the season in the last 25 years? No. Let's be real. There's been a lot of very unlucky things that have happened to this team. A lot of injuries from top to bottom. Now, there's also been a lot of things that, I keep saying, was Antonio Pierce dealt a bad hand? Yes. He still, though, did not play that hand well. You know what I mean? That's like you're at poker table, and you get a 3 and a 2 different suits. A way to play that hand the smart way, probably to fold. Antonio Pierce has got that 3 and a 2, and he's like, I'm going all in, right? You still have to be smart with the hand that you are dealt. And AP still hasn't even really done that. But the worst Raiders team in the last 25 years, what's crazy is most teams easily say yes at 2-12. But then you go back and you look at some of those Jamarcus Russell years, or honestly, the year right before, DC in 2014, they were bad, but they were still better than what this team is, at least I would say. It's been bad. Rebel says 2014 was worse. 06 Raiders from David, that's what I'm saying. There's not every day do you see Chugs putting his finger in a
chicken.
In a nice little chicken.
Chip, you want to choke this chicken? It's ribbed.
I was going to say, if you're trying to choke a chicken right now, the Raiders Report is where it's at.
It's easier if you do it two-handed.
It's actually the only way you can do it is two-handed.
Choke it.
You gotta make it squeak.
Oh yeah, there you go. Oh yeah.
There you go. Dude, that's a good chicken.
Good choke.
Wow, I'll tell you what, that's what you're looking for.
We do have one more question.
Yep.
From Nate. After that, we're gonna get into the first segment talking about the latest news and rumors around the Las Vegas Raiders.
Wyatt says 2014 and 2006 were more bad. I think the only thing more bad there is the grammar behind it. Nate, free agents to sign next season. Higgins, Javon Holland, C.J. Reed, Trey Smith, re-sign Spillane, Hobbs, and Merrick. We have the money. The Raiders do have the money, but I will say T. Higgins is going to be about 27. Javon Holland I do like a lot, and depending on if the Raiders keep Gerald Alexander and depending if they keep Ricky Manning, I think could determine Holland because I know there's some connections right there. But when the Raiders, who more than likely are probably going to move on from Antonio Pierce, you're then probably going to bring in a brand new regime with everything you do on both the offense and the defensive side of the football. Out of the players that you list down there for Spillane, Hobbs, and Merrick, I would say Spillane is the more top priority simply because of what he brings to the team, what he represents at the linebacker position. I know that linebacker's not as important as corner and or free safety, but the Raiders like what Spillane brings to the table, and there's a certain guy, he wears a C on his chest. I'm going to let you guess who that is, that wants Robert Spillane back. And I'm just telling you, has been starting to get a little bit more vocal behind the scenes in terms of which guys he wants to have back on this team. Spillane is one of those dudes. Nate Hobbs, the Raiders want him back, but there's still a lot of injury concerns. They might let him test the market a little bit. And then also with Trevon Merrick, because Marcus Epps also ended up going down, Merrick is a player that the Raiders want to bring back. However, though, based on what I've been told, Merrick is somebody that wants to test the open market. And I can't really blame Trevon Merrick for wanting to test the open market there.
I do wonder what he'll get, though, because some of the markets have kind of dried up a little bit. Like
safety's been a weird market. You know, like, think about how many good safeties were available in, like, July last year, in August. And I felt like, you know, it was
Dude,
the ball
Justin
just
Simmons, a two-time All-Pro.
got, like, what, like 8 million?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say Trevon Merrick, if he hits the open market, he is young. He does have a good pedigree. He was the Jim Thorpe Award winner back from TCU in, 2022? A player that I thought could have gone in round one. You could also look at all the different defensive coordinators, all the different, you know, players, if you will. Not 2022. What was it? 2021? Was he the second-round pick? Yeah, it had to be because the Raiders traded away a first and a second for Devontae Adams. So 2021, he was a second-round pick. Man, that's time's flying by. But $6-7 million per year? I mean, maybe you get a 2 to 3 year contract in there if you're Merrick. It's going to be interesting. But luckily, yes, the Raiders do have lots and lots of money. Coming up here on today's show, let's get into the latest around Aidan, around Antonio Pierce. I got some takes that hopefully you guys care about. If you want to know the other quarterback that the Raiders are looking at potentially drafting, this is a show that you got to watch. There was a certain name that was brought up to me, and not that I'm surprised, but there's multiple interesting things in what I'm going to say in this show. Honestly, these two are going to be very intriguing, I would say, to a lot of our loyal watchers out there. And then the mailbag's all up to y'all. Hashtag Raiders Super Chat to skip the line. We do have 424 people watching, but we only have 98 likes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull a Chugs. The next person to like the video, we start the show. We need one like, and we start the show. I got some interesting Raiders rumors that the entire nation needs to see here on today's show. Should the Raiders bench Aidan O'Connell for the rest of the season? I know what Antonio Pierce said today, that he's trending in the right direction. But I got a take that I think that the nation needs to see. Is AP's time done in Las Vegas? We're going to talk about that. And then the Raiders will have the number one pick. If you came for some just win babies, you're in the right place. Now, I do have a big favor to ask. Every single day that we pull up here on this show, this is how I pay for my house. This is how I pay for food on my table. This is how Chuck gets to be a good boy and gets a nice little treat. One of the ways that you guys can help this show grow is continue to support us by hitting that subscribe button for free videos. And guess what? I put out a goal, and I want to get to 181,000 subs by the time we play the Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 16. We got 6 days to do it, and we need 365 more subs to do it. So for a lot of y'all that are the OGs that have already subscribed, you know what the Just Win Baby Raiders rumor meter is. If you are new to the show, we picked up probably about 300 to 400 new subs yesterday during Monday Night Football. This is what I am talking about when I say just win, baby. So if you need to rewind, you need to check out the meter. There's the meter. Basically, if you see something with 4 just win, babies, it means it's 100% going to happen. So should the Las Vegas Raiders bench Aidan O'Connell for the rest of the season? Yes, this one is 4 just win, babies. Believe it, baby. And it has nothing to do with Aidan not playing well. It is the exact opposite. I have been saying it for weeks. I am Team Tank, and if you're Team Tank, then you don't want AOC to play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then you don't want AOC to play against the Saints or the Chargers in Week 18. And I know that he missed Monday Night Football with that knee injury, and he was the emergency third-string quarterback yesterday against Atlanta. He did go out there. He tried to test it out before the game, and usually when a player is able to do that, they are on track to play the following week. And Antonio Pierce said that he is trending in the right direction. But, let's be honest with ourselves. What's the most important thing for the Raiders at this point? Is it us winning a meaningless game in Week 16, Week 17, Week 18? No. The reason why that you got to rest Aidan O'Connell, makes the most sense for this season, and it also makes the most sense for next season. And that's going to be one of the things that we're going to discuss here on today's show, because I don't think nearly enough people are talking about how important it is for Aidan to be healthy next season. It's going to save us millions upon millions of dollars, and it's got to be something that more people from the nation talk about. If you see somebody out there going, Aidan should play Week 16, Aidan should play Week 17 or Week 18, I want y'all to send them this video, because I think when you get done watching this show, you're going to go, yeah, all right, I agree with what Mitch said there. We need to rest them for next season. So here we go. We're going to make this the pinned comment on today's show. Give me a yes or a no. Should the Raiders shut down Aidan O'Connell for the rest of the season? If you're like yes, say it with your chest and join me down below. If you're going to say no, hey, it's all good. At least give me a reason. My answer coming up after this YouTube ad break. If you are Team Tank and care about the future of the Las Vegas Raiders, then the answer is yes. The Silver and Black need to shut down Aidan O'Connell for the remainder of the season. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you exactly why every Raiders fan should want that exact same thing. And I know that it might be unfair to AOC, and I can't blame AOC for wanting to go out there and play, because this might be his final opportunity to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But if you care about the Raiders more than you care about Aidan O'Connell, here's why you should shut him down. The first reason is this. Aidan would have beat the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. Kirk Cousins is washed. Atlanta tried every way in their power to give up that game. I mean, think about it. The Falcons were getting ready to kick a field goal up 15-3 with about 5 minutes and 35 seconds to go. Young Ho ends up missing one, and then it was Desmond Ridder, and Atlanta just tried to totally give up. If Aidan's healthy and he's on the field for 4 quarters, the Raiders would not have been as bad as what they were offensively in those first 3 quarters, therefore putting themselves in a position where they win that game at the end. If you are Team Tank, and I get it, you got to be on the path of what gives us the best way to lose football games. And it sucks. I hear you loud and clear. But is Aidan O'Connell better than Carter Bradley? Yes, he is. Is Aidan O'Connell better than Desmond Ridder? Yes, he is. Are the Raiders better with Aidan? Yes, they are. For that reason, you got to shut him down. Let's go to the next reason here of why it's important. I want AOC to be the QB2 next season. And I think a lot of Raiders fans probably want that exact same thing. And if you're a numbers person, then tell me how these numbers don't make a lot of sense to you. Because you can call me crazy for wanting AOC at $1.2 million instead of Gardner Minshew at $14 million. Nobody wants Aidan to be the starter next season. Nobody wants Gardner Minshew to be the starter next season. If we're going to be Team Tank, we're looking to draft a quarterback. And yeah, maybe the Raiders decide to sit Shedeur for a season. It's something that's being talked about. But what my hope is that Shedeur is going to be out there. A Cam Ward's going to be out there, which means then let's have a good, reliable backup quarterback at a cheap price. 1.2 for Aidan or $14 million for Gardner Minshew. It's easy math. And if Aidan is healthy and he is under contract, the Raiders won't move on from him. Now, there's a potential where if a team's like, hey, I'll give you a 5th-round pick for AOC, maybe the Raiders think about it, maybe they don't. But if Aidan's healthy and he's your QB2, it gives you the ability to move on from Gardner Minshew, because nobody wants to pay Minshew $14 million. And if you decide to cut him, You end up eating $7.6 million in dead. You save $6.3. That's pre-June 1st. The way that I think that the Raiders would do it is they would designate him as a post-June 1st cut candidate. That way they would save $9.3, and then Minshew would be free to go with anywhere he pleases. But the Raiders are at least going to try to trade him first, and a new team would take on $11.8 million. No team under the sun is going to take on Gardner Minshew at $11.8 million. So therefore, I don't think that you're going to save a lot of this money. The Raiders could try to do it, but moving on from Gardner Minshew saves the Raiders money. And we need Aidan to be healthy in order for us to be able to do that early in the offseason. Let's go to another one here. Sometimes you need a good rookie mentor. Being drafted in the NFL is tough. Being a franchise quarterback is tough. Being drafted high, all of these things are not easy things to be able to do, and there's a lot of pressure that comes along with it. AOC is one of the nicest human beings, the stand-up guy, a very intelligent person, and he's always been down to help. Like, one of my favorite things that Aidan and Gardner did this offseason, don't get me wrong, it was a shitty quarterback battle, and we all kind of knew that it was going to be shitty, but, like, Aidan always helped out Gardner to get the best out of him. Gardner always helped Aidan O'Connell. So I want a backup quarterback that knows his role on this team. And yeah, it might be a little bit unfortunate, but like we've seen some guys stay in the NFL for 10, 15 years being a good backup QB. Because I know this, if Tom Brady goes out and gets Shedeur Sanders, and then Shedeur Sanders is working with Tom Brady, you know, if I'm Aidan O'Connell, the number one person that I would also like to be able to work with, Tom Brady. You know who else is going to be able to raise my stock if the more and more I work with him, the more and more I stay in that organization? It's Tom Brady. Aidan O'Connell knows if he wants to raise his stock, staying with the Raiders helps out Aidan, unless the team gives him a starting opportunity, which quite frankly I just don't see happening. And then the last thing is this. Shedeur and Aidan offense is similar. Like, I think a lot of times people, when they hear the name Shedeur Sanders, they're going to think like, all right, we're going to run a little bit of a different offense. The offense that the Raiders would input for Shedeur would be very similar to Aidan because both of these guys are pocket passers. I understand that Shedeur is more athletic. He is more athletic than Aidan O'Connell. I think a lot of people are more athletic than Aidan O'Connell at the NFL level. But like the offense, the structure is going to be based on getting the ball out quickly. It's going to be based on high accuracy. It's going to be based on play action. It's going to be based on having a good running game. It's going to be based on throwing the ball in the middle of the field. Everything that Shedeur does, everything that Aidan does, Shedeur already does at a better level, and he's a younger player. So for all these reasons, it's why I would shut down Aidan. At the end of the day, this is a wasted season. So why not plan for the future? The best way that the Raiders can plan for the future is to shut down O'Connell for the remainder 3 games, make sure he's 100% healthy, and start planning for 2025. Coming up next here on the show is Antonio Pierce's time in Las Vegas over. And what's crazy is, you guys already know what I'm going to say, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the smoke has been growing and growing and growing. And today, we're going to reveal even a little bit more smoke. Before I get into it, though, man, Game Time is today's sponsor, and I love me some Game Time. Last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Game Time is sponsoring the show, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. One of the things that I love about Game Time is that they're focused on togetherness this holiday season, which means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's the perfect gift. You might not remember the score. Hopefully, a lot of y'all don't remember a lot of the Raiders scores from this season. But you know what you might remember? You might remember a funny experience that you and your dad had. I always say this. I was really young, and I can still remember when Sammy Sosa and Mike Piazza both hit a home run in a Mets and Cubs game. That is a memory that I will have forever, and like creating those lasting memories is what Game Time is going to be able to help you do. Plus, the other day I was looking for a gift for Alex's dad, and you know, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what to get him for Christmas. Like, I don't know. You know what I've been thinking about doing? Getting tickets to a Cowboys game. I know it's the Raiders report, but he's a Cowboys fan. Like, that's an awesome gift idea, and you're going to be able to spend quality time with somebody who is important to you. So if you're like, you know what, Mitch, I'm buying into that. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It is Game Time. I'm telling y'all, if this is an app that I trust to be able to get my father-in-law a gift for Christmas, And I also got him a gift for his birthday, but I think that you should trust Game Time as well. Let's go. Let's talk about Antonio Pierce, and is his time done in Las Vegas? I'm going to give this one 3 just win babies, and I'm going to say that it's pretty likely. There's a part of me where I almost just want to give this 4 just win babies because I don't even believe in my heart of hearts that Antonio Pierce is going to be back, but I'm still just going to give it 3 because the only way that Antonio Pierce, I believe, is back next season is if Mike Vrabel says, I'm not interested in the job. If Mike Vrabel says, I am interested in the Raiders job, then I'm telling you, it's a 4 just win, baby. Antonio Pierce ain't going to be back. The reason why that it's 10% chance is because I don't know how much Vrabel wants this job. Tom Brady wants Mike Vrabel. Mark Davis is losing confidence by the day on Antonio Pierce. Hell, AP was asked about his job today, and he goes, well, I'm under contract for next season. Like, if the question is, will you be back next year? And your response is, well, I'm under contract next season. I don't think that that's giving you a lot of hope of confidence that you are going to be back. And don't get me wrong, this has been the number one thing that people have been saying. Mitch, the Raiders need to bring back Antonio Pierce because he was dealt a bad hand. You are 1,000,000% right that Antonio Pierce was dealt a bad hand. I can remember doing a video last offseason, and I said, if the Raiders go into this year with Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, it is an absolute fail by Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. Now, AP got the hand that he was dealt. I get it. And it was an unlucky hand. I mean, if you're playing Texas Hold'em and you get a 3 of clubs and a 2 of diamonds, a smart person would probably fold that hand. The problem is Antonio Pierce was given a bad hand. He was given an unlucky hand, but he still hasn't played that hand well. And one of the things that Mark Davis is evaluating is how Pierce is getting better and better and better as the year goes on. And the problem is Antonio Pierce is not getting better. In fact, he shows you week in and week out that he's not ready to be a head coach from a decision-making standpoint, especially for a head coach who doesn't call plays on offense, doesn't call plays on defense. You need to be a good CEO. It's been a word that we have used multiple times on the show, and I saw a quote from Tashawn Reed that hit it exactly on the head, and I'm going to share it with y'all. For a CEO head coach, one that doesn't call plays in any of the 3 phases of the game management is arguably his most important duty on game days. Yet, Pierce is one of the worst head coaches in the NFL at doing so and has yet to show any growth in that area. If Antonio Pierce was a quarterback, right, and we could see stats that backed up a lot of the things that I'm saying here, everybody would go, it's time to move on from Antonio Pierce. Because even though AP can scream Raiders, and even though I wanted AP, a lot of y'all wanted Antonio Pierce, I think one of the things that people need to do, adults need to do, good business people need to do is say, I was wrong. And in life, it's okay to be wrong. You're going to be wrong a bunch. But how do you learn from your mistakes? One of the ways that you don't, kind of go down that history path again is to just do the same thing over and over again. And I'm worried if Mark Davis gives Antonio Pierce another year, we're just going to waste another year. Now, Adam Schefter had some interesting things to say on Antonio Pierce and how likely it would be that he's going to be back next season. Mark Davis had the chance to stand behind Antonio Pierce at the owners' meeting, and he didn't. It didn't sound like he's an absolute lock to be back with the Raiders at all. So Antonio Pierce hasn't been going well. Schefter said this, I want to say it was on the Pat McAfee show. I believe he said it on December 16th. And I know for a lot of the people that watch this show religiously, believe me when I tell you, I appreciate when people watch. Then, to Sean Reed, I don't know how many people saw this on December 11th, Davis said that Pierce and Raiders GM Tom Telesco will be evaluated separately once the offseason arises. I know a lot of times when people hear the word rumor or when people get upset about a rumor, and I know we're talking about just win baby rumors, but it is extremely important to watch how rumors develop. It's important because it's almost like a plant, or it's like a fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire, or you add a little bit of water to that rumor plant. But the reason why people need to subscribe to the Raiders Report is because if you think what Schefter said, the amount of people that have been sending me, Schefter said this, Schefter said that, that just tells me you didn't watch my show, and that's okay. I get people are busy, but I do think it's important that people, when you get time, Go back and watch some of the shows that you missed, because if you think what Schefter and Tashawn Reed are saying is new, that is screaming to me you're not subscribed to the Raiders Report. I made a show called Juicy Raiders Rumors. Everything that Schefter is talking about, everything that Tashawn Reed, the Athletic, has been reporting about, Telesco and AP being different, this and that. I mean, this is a video. You can go find it on my channel from December 3rd, and it's everything that people are talking about now. Rumors are important, and I know that Schefter has way more inside sources than me. I get it, but nobody covers the Raiders the way that content creators do. And I'll tell you this, nobody covers the Raiders the way we do here at the Raiders Report. Are we going to be right and wrong at times? Yeah, I mean, that's part of life. But if you're hearing what a lot of these people are saying and you're like, oh, this new information, you got to hit that sub, man. You got to turn on those noties because we've already been talking about it. Let's go to the final thing that we're going to discuss here on today's show. The Raiders will have the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm going to give this one to Just Win Babies, and I'm going to say there's a 50% shot of it happening. The reason why we need to talk about this is because there's different providers of the NFL Draft, and a common question that I keep getting over and over and over again is, Mitch, are the Raiders going to have the number 1 pick? Because Tankathon has the Raiders at 1 right now, but NFL.com has the Raiders at number 2. Let me be very clear. If the Raiders lose their next 3 games, they will have the number 1 overall pick. If the Giants lose their next 3 games, the Raiders will have the number 1 overall pick, and it's due to strength of schedule. Tankathon looks at strength of schedule for the remaining of the season as well as the teams you've already played. NFL.com only looks at the strength of schedule for the games that have already happened. So because the Raiders' schedule is much easier than the Giants, if the Raiders lose out, they have the number 1 pick. So let's compare the Raiders and the Giants' schedule if you still don't quite see it because you're a visual person, and I get it. I'm also a visual person. So left is the Raiders. On the right side is the Giants' schedule. So when you see the Raiders' remaining schedule is 16-26 combined, that strength of schedule is much worse than the New York Giants at 25-17. And because it is such a big disparity, if the Raiders lose their next 3 games, they are locked and loaded to that number 1 overall pick. And the number 1 overall pick is going to really help put this team in the right direction. If you want the Raiders to draft Shedeur Sanders, puts them in a good spot. If you want the Raiders to draft Cam Ward, they at least have the opportunity to do it. And if you're somebody where you're like, Mitch, I don't want Shedeur, I don't want Cam Ward, I want the Raiders to go draft somebody else, maybe a Travis Hunter. I hear it all the time. Well, then if you're the Raiders, you go, I'm going to trade out of that number 1 pick, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of draft capital. The best thing possible for this franchise, for this organization. Because guess what? It's also going to be more money in Mark Davis's pocket, which helps us long term. The best thing possible is if the Raiders shut down Aidan O'Connell, get the next head coach ready, because it's probably not going to be Antonio Pierce, and then get ready for that number 1 overall pick, because damn it, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that number 1 pick is going to help us get going in the right direction. So should the Raiders shut down Aidan O'Connell for the rest of the year? Give me a yes, give me a no. What do you guys think? I mean, I actually thought about this. This was going to be a show that I was going to do of, and I get Aidan not wanting to be shut down. Totally get it. If I was the Raiders, I'd go, Aidan, you're scheduled to make $1.2 million next season. How about this? I'll triple your salary if you don't play these next 3 games. $3.6 million as a backup quarterback. Or you can pay Gardner Minshew $14 million. And I get it. You're still going to move on from Minshew. You're still going to eat a little bit of money. But even if you cut Minshew, you're still going to save about $6 to $7 million. I think, and I get it. And it's not always as simple as dollar and cents. But if I'm Aidan O'Connell, I'm going, well, it's not that bad of a deal.
And also, for Aidan, I get why he wants to go out there because he needs more film. He needs more film. He needs more film to try to persuade other teams. Like next offseason, if there's a team that has their starting quarterback go down in not in spring training, but in training camp, he's going to need that film. He's going to need that extra tape to go to teams and say, hey, trade for me. You can have me be your step-in. I can start for you if you need. Aidan is looking for that, but like you said, you're the Raiders. You don't want an Aidan O'Connell with a chip on his shoulder for the last 3 games.
You don't want an Aidan O'Connell with a chip on his shoulder. I think, though, also if I'm AOC, you could potentially hurt yourself if you're, really bad these next 3 games. And I don't really know. I don't think that he would be that drastically bad. But I'll tell you this right now. Watching the way that Scott Turner called plays yesterday compared to the way that Scott Turner's called plays for majority, I think it's a little bit different. Now, I get it. You got a different quarterback in Desmond. He can't go under center. That does actually really hurt the way Scott Turner likes to call plays. But then there was also a lot of just like brain-dead moves that Turner made. And one of the things that I'm worried about, again, let's go back to the rumor discussion because rumors are important. It's been a rumor. It's been speculated that Scott Turner could already be the next offensive coordinator for the University of North Carolina to pair him with Bill Belichick, okay? So, like, in my mind, I hear a rumor of Scott Turner apparently linked with Bill Belichick to be the next OC at North Carolina. And then a few days later, I think it was the worst output of offensive play calls that we've seen from Turner. Like, would it surprise anybody if Turner's already looking at next season, already looking to help out a guy like Bill Belichick, somebody who he has ties with from their time in New England? I'm just saying, little details.
I will say if you're Scott Turner, you're already looking to next year because I think no matter what, his job's not safe.
He's gone.
If AP stays, no way he's still the OC.
He's gone.
If Mike Vrabel comes in, no way he's the OC.
Correct.
I don't think there's a single possible way that he is the Raiders' offensive coordinator.
And nobody would blame Turner for not putting in as much time and effort this season because if I told you you're going to have to find a new job in 3 weeks.
It's just like the stuff that's going on in Penn State. The backup quarterback entered the portal because
he knows Aller's coming back.
And he needs to find a spot.
Yeah.
And he said, I need to enter the portal now before all the spots get filled up. So he had to do it now.
I hear you, man. I see Wick says, shut him down, D'Angelo Fortenberry. You know what that reminds me of? The Wild Thornberries. You remember that show? You guys should make a spin-off Fortenberry and call it Wild Fortenberries.
Oh, no.
Nigel was the best character in that. Or the crazy little guy. Exactly, yeah. Oh, John, I want to see
Carter Bradley.
Carter Bradley at quarterback. I mean, I would be okay with it. Like, here's the thing. I don't think Carter Bradley, is better than Desmond Ridder. I actually really don't think that. He might end up being better, but at this current moment, I don't know if he would be better. There's also not any tape on Carter Bradley, so it's a little bit more of a wild card. And I hear what you're saying, but in all honesty, I watched Desmond Ridder play, and I know how close that Monday Night Football game was. But, like, he was atrocious for 55 minutes of that game. And then Atlanta got a little bit too comfy. They put their feet up, and then all of a sudden momentum started to happen. After watching Desmond Ridder play, I hear you loud and clear on Carter Bradley. I'll tell you that if Desmond Ridder is the starting quarterback for the next 3 games, Raiders aren't winning the game. And only because of that is why I want Desmond Ridder in the game. Like, I know Bradley might not be better, but because there's no tape, there's a little bit of a wild card factor in there.
Is it me? One of my best friends, does he not look like Carter Bradley?
I can see the resemblance. He's the one on the left, right?
Yes.
I can see the resemblance. If you want to see somebody who looks just like somebody, there was somebody in the Golden Bachelor this year. I know you guys are probably going to laugh at me. He looks just like Rich Gannon. I mean, I even showed Alex. I go, look at this. And she goes like, she even said, she was like, oh, that's the guy from the Golden Bachelor? I go, no. That's an old Raiders quarterback, Rich Gannon. It's identical. I'll try to find it, man.
You think they look that close?
I will, here. Golden Bachelor male contestants. Here you go. I'm going to send you a name, okay? Here you go. His name is, look up Guy. Guy from Golden Bachelor, okay? Look up Guy from Golden Bachelor. And then I want you to look up a dude by the name of Rich Gannon. I'm just saying. Like,
Angel, am I a scumbag for putting Atlanta's defense against the Raiders yesterday in fantasy? I needed 20 points and got 21 on the last play. # Team Tank.
No, not at all. In fact, I know a bunch of people did. Nico Laz even said that he did. All right, here you go. Here is this guy from the Golden Bachelor. I think for all you OG Raider fans out there, click on that link. Click on that link.
Oh, dude.
It's insane,
That
dude.
looks just like him.
And then here is Rich Gannon. Dude, he popped up on the show like the first time I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God, Rich Gannon's on the Golden Bachelor. I was so hyped. And then he's like, my name, because he introduced himself as Guy. And I was like, oh, I think he's just trying to be like undercover. And no, it's his actual name. But I mean, like, dude, it's kind of crazy. What up, Angel? No, you're not, bro. I-Man Report. Is this like you making fun of me? Jags Raiders announcers, Andrew
Catalan, Tiki Barber, Jason McCourty.
Or you just watch the show.
I will say also, I don't know if I've seen a $5.99 super chat. It's usually $4.99.
Yeah, that's true. I actually don't know if that's ever happened before. That one took some time. That also tells me that the I-Man Report is watching this on his laptop. It's a fact, right?
All right.
Unless you have just the tiniest fingers ever and you just get that
We're going to talk about the draft here up next, but I have a quick question for everybody at home before we get started.
Okay.
If the Raiders can't draft Shedeur, who would you want them to draft? Who's next up? Who do you think is the Raiders' plan B?
Who do you think is the Raiders' plan B at QB in the draft? And here's the thing. The last 3 times we've done this style of show, you can hate me all you want. We have been spot on. And the person that I talked to over the weekend, just telling you, got a lot of, let's just say, people inside of the organization. And I think that this name that I'm going to bring up here on this show, people need to start realizing it's a possibility. The Raiders might even draft 2 QBs. They might even draft, again, that's still a little ways away, but I was told that it's not out of the realm of possibilities either that the Raiders could draft 2 QBs, but that has a lot more to do with Aidan, Gardner, and some other things that would happen before the draft. Not going to really get into all of that today. We're just going to talk about the 2 QBs that the Raiders are going to be looking at in the draft, because one of them is obvious. One of them might be a little obvious, but I think it's also, we'll talk about it, rumors here, very, very important. True all day, Mitch already said Cam Ward. Maybe it is Cam Ward. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Prize picks on this one, correct? Okay. You guys ready to get this thing rocking and rolling? Let me just get a quick little sip here. Thank God it's not. I love eggnog. I really do. Like, it's one of those things where I always have 1 cup of eggnog during the holiday season. Just like if I'm going to have a pina colada, it's only going to be at the beach. Like, you're not drinking eggnog in July.
I got a pina colada in my Teletubbies outfit.
Really?
Whenever we went to the bar.
Oh, well, I think that's a totally different situation. I think if you're ever wearing a Teletubby costume in Texas, you can drink whatever you want.
Okay.
I think that's fair. I think everybody can get on board with that. No doubt. We got 550 people watching, only 211 likes. I'll let some of the OGs handle that down below for me. Coming up, let's talk about the Raiders' plan at the quarterback position in the NFL draft, because I got told some pretty interesting stuff over the weekend, and I'm always excited to share what I've been told. Ready? Jugs is ready to get this one going. Coming up, let's talk Raiders draft plan. The Las Vegas Raiders are eyeing 2 quarterbacks in the 2025 NFL draft, and honestly, this show is going to reveal a lot about the Raiders' plans during the draft. I think it's also going to reveal a lot of their plans of what the Silver and Black could do at a GM standpoint. That's what we're going to be discussing here on today's episode. But the reason why I'm excited to do this one, this has been a show that when I've talked about Raiders quarterback plans in the past, we have been spot on. In 2022, I told everybody Derek Carr is not going to be coming back in 23. In 2023, told everybody the Raiders are going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo and draft Aidan O'Connell. Check on that one. In 2024, I told everyone that it was going to be Jayden Daniels or bust. We didn't get Jayden, and this season has been a big, fat bust. So you can like me, you can hate me, but I have been spot on what the Raiders are going to do at the quarterback position for 3 years. And sometimes the truth is going to hurt some of y'all out there. I get it. But I think for all the OGs, all the real ones out there, know this is exactly why you should subscribe to the Raiders Report. So if you want to know the Raiders quarterback plans in 2025, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and join this show. Rumors are important. The tea leaves are important. Where there's smoke, there is fire, and there's not going to be a better channel out there that tells you where the smoke is to lead you to the fire. So coming up, I'm going to tell you what the Raiders' quarterback plan is for Plan A. There's one guy in mind that's Plan A. There's another QB that is Plan B. And then I'm going to give you an interesting Tom Telesco nugget that I heard over the weekend. I was in Las Vegas over the past weekend, and I sat down, talked to some very interesting people. One person in particular gave me a very interesting nugget on who Plan B quarterback is, and I think that says a lot about what the Raiders could do at GM. So let's get into it. Plan A here at QB. It's not rocket science. It's not a secret. The Raiders want to draft Shedeur Sanders, and I was told by a source that the Raiders want to draft Sanders more than they wanted to draft Jayden Daniels. I'm not saying that they like Shedeur more from a quarterback prospect than Jayden. I'm simply saying that Mark Davis is getting fed up with this quarterback recycle over and over and over again. And because the Raiders are going through a season like they're going through right now, and because they missed on a QB last season, it's more of a demand where they're not going to sit back. They're not going to just let all these other teams pick QBs in front of them. The Raiders will draft the quarterback. And Tom Brady and Mark Davis are on the same page in eyes of who they are looking at the quarterback position, which is a very important thing. We could talk about head coach. You could talk about GM. Tom Brady's going to have the biggest say of what this team's going to end up doing at the QB position. So, per source, if the Raiders have the number one pick, it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. You can bet whatever you want on it. It's going to be Shedeur. Shedeur wants to work with Brady. Brady wants to work with Shedeur. This has been something that we already know. If the Raiders win a game, I was told that they are still confident that they're going to be able to make Shedeur a Raider. If the Raiders would have beat the Atlanta Falcons, per se, on Monday Night Football, they would have dropped down to the number 7 pick. They still believe that they would be the team that would end up landing Shedeur. However, though, if the Raiders win 2 games, then the attention is going to go to Plan B. I know a lot of y'all think that the Plan B quarterback's Cam Ward. It's not. Not that they don't like Cam Ward, but the Raiders are all in this thing for Shedeur. A lot of y'all might think that it's going to be Jalen Milroe. Ain't going to be Jalen Milroe. So go down to the comment section. If the Raiders don't draft Shedeur Sanders, who do you think the Raiders are going to target at the quarterback position? Luckily for you, I'm going to tell you who they're going to target if it's not Shedeur, and I'm going to tell you after this YouTube ad break. So scroll on down while you're getting hit with that ad and give me your honest answer. If the Raiders miss out on their Plan A at Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback that the Silver and Black will look to and the quarterback that they will look to target in the 2025 NFL Draft will be Oregon's Dillon Gabriel. Lock it in, take a screenshot. You can save it, bookmark it, however you want to do it. Remember this video, because if the Raiders don't get Shedeur, they're going to draft Dillon Gabriel. Now, I have been very mixed on when that would potentially happen and when they would target him, and I'm not saying that they would take him in round 1. It's never going to happen. Not saying that they would take him in round 2. But as soon as round 3, day 3 starts to creep in is when the Raiders would be eyeing Dillon Gabriel, is what I was told. So coming up here on the show, why the Raiders are going to target Dillon Gabriel and why them targeting Gabriel is very, very important in terms of Tom Telesco. We're going to be breaking all of that down here on today's show. But before we do, Prize Picks is really helping me get through this Raiders season. How many of y'all need something to root for on Raiders game day? I know, Sarcastic Mitch can help a little bit, but Prize Picks has really, really, truly been helping me out, man. That I can guarantee you. So Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on PrizePicks. Join now because the holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in reward during Picksmas. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today and get $50 into you when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks. Run your game. If you're trying to run your game, guess what? This is what Chugs and I are going with for Thursday Night Football. We're going to be live for Thursday Night Football, and it's an AFC West showdown. F the Broncos, F the Chargers. But you know what? I want to love on some PrizePicks because I need to be able to root for something in that matchup. And if you're like, Mitch, you know what? I'm going to roll with this lineup. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. That link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Huge shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring the Raiders Report. So coming up here, why the Raiders would target Dillon Gabriel. It's a very important conversation, and it kind of reminds me a lot of the conversations that I had back in 2023 when I told people the Raiders are going to draft Aidan O'Connell. It's the guy Josh McDaniels wanted. And a lot of these reasons are a little bit similar. So the first reason of why the Raiders would target Gabriel, it's because round 1, from what I'm being told, is Sanders or bust. The Raiders believe that Cam Ward is going to be a New York Giant, and they believe that the Giants are going to do a lot in their power to go out and get him. The Raiders believe that they're going to end up getting Shedeur. Then I was also told that they don't love Jalen Milroe. This is another been a quarterback that I have brought up saying, hey, if you miss out on Cam, if you miss out on Shedeur, it could be somebody to look at in Jalen Milroe. Based on what I was told, I don't think Jalen Milroe in the silver and black is going to happen unless, like, Milroe really, really falls down really far in the draft. And if Cam Ward falls to the Raiders, then they could draft him. It's just unlikely, where I don't think that the Raiders, let's say if they win a game or two and they're down there picking at 7 or 8, they're not going to trade up for Cam Ward. If Cam Ward falls to them at like pick 7 or 8, then it's a possibility. But like I think even at 7 or 8, the Raiders are still going to try to go up and get Shedeur Sanders. And if the price is too high, then you could see them try to build on a few other players. And then they're going to target Dillon Gabriel later in the draft. The other reason here of why you would target Gabriel, it is a 100% fact. I don't know if there's going to be something where you can go more or less on how many quarterbacks the Raiders are going to draft. If PrizePicks puts something out there and it's 0.5 QBs drafted by the Raiders in 2025, the easiest free money that I can give you is that you pick more on that because it's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, Mark Davis walks up to the podium and he fires everybody because Mark is going to want the Raiders to draft a quarterback is basically all I'm allowed to say. The Raiders like Gabriel, but they also like him based on the value. And he's going to be probably somebody that gets taken on day 2, maybe round 3, but also round 4. I think what's going to happen is he's going to creep up, where if you talk to some NFL draft scouts out there, they're like, he's probably going to go in round 4, probably going to go in round 5. I think what's going to end up happening is Oregon's going to win a playoff game or 2. If they win it all, they're going to bump them up even more, and then the Raiders will have an opportunity to go out and get a QB that they feel like that they can develop. That's the important word there. They're not just going out and getting Dillon Gabriel, and it's not going to be the Dillon Gabriel show in year 1. They want to find a QB that they believe that they can develop. And you know who thinks that he can develop them? This guy right here, Tom Brady. Tom Brady likes Dillon Gabriel. I'm just going to tell you that. Tom Brady likes Dillon Gabriel. But not only does he like Dillon Gabriel, he likes the way Gabriel went about his business. So according to a source, Brady wants a quarterback who can run and execute a system. Now, maybe that's a little bit of a gray lining area because we don't know who the head coach is. You don't know who the OC is. But we have to admit, you need a quarterback that can run and execute a system, which I think when you think about that from a Tom Brady standpoint, that shouldn't surprise anybody. One of the reasons why Tom Brady was so great is because he knew that system that he was running like the back of his hand, and he could do everything. Nobody thought Tom Brady was the most athletic quarterback. Nobody thought that. Hell, I don't even think people think that he's the best quarterback from a talent standpoint, but he was the GOAT because what he did was he went out there and mastered his offense, kind of the way somebody like a Peyton Manning did. And he's played a lot of football, which Brady likes, When you go back and you listen to a lot of the old Tom Brady interviews, he talks about how a lot of these young QBs don't have a lot of playing time, and they're kind of just being thrown into the fire, not learning a system. One of the biggest reasons why Tom believes that he had some success, he had to learn how to be in a program. He had to learn how to be a quarterback at Michigan. He had to learn how to be a quarterback with the New England Patriots. And because he bought in to everything that they were teaching him, they want to be able to find, the Raiders want to be able to find a quarterback that has a lot of those traits, a lot of those similarities. And Dillon Gabriel is a QB that Tom Brady has said that could be a guy that can do exactly what I am trying to build from a quarterback standpoint. Another person who likes Dillon Gabriel is Tom Telesco. The Raiders want to have Telesco for next year, and if you were to watch the video that I did on December 3rd around Juicy Raiders rumors, the Raiders want Telesco and his mind in terms of how many round one quarterbacks, how many early quarterbacks Telesco has been able to find in his career. That's something that the Raiders like. Now, it's no secret Telesco likes Oregon quarterbacks, but the reason why he likes them is because of their pro preparation. One of the schools that was brought up to me over the weekend was this. One of the reasons why the Patriots used to always look at players from the University of Rutgers many years ago was because of Greg Schiano. Because Greg Schiano would do a good job of teaching how to be in a pro system, how to be a professional, and Bill Belichick would look at that and try to bring in a lot of players from Rutgers. One of the schools that is doing a great job right now preparing quarterbacks, especially of being that next guy to be able to step in and be ready to go right away, is the University of Oregon. The Raiders also want to have JPJ under center, and it's very important to have a good relationship between your quarterback and between your offensive center. Obviously, JPJ and Dillon Gabriel have a little bit of that relationship. But for Justin Herbert, he was drafted by Tom Telesco out of the University of Oregon. And Telesco also wanted somebody that, when you think about a quarterback standpoint, Tom Telesco wanted a guy like Bo Nix. So when you think about Bo Nix and that Telesco wanted him, that is a bell that goes off in my head of, you know what, some interesting Telesco rumors. And if you haven't followed along with some of the interesting Telesco rumors that have been out there, like, I get you loud and clear. You're probably a busy human being. But December 3rd, I said Telesco's job is safe. I gave it 4 just win babies. You can go back and watch it. But I said AP's job is at risk. And I said it because I knew who I was talking to, but I also knew that it was going to be a different job. And does it surprise me now that all these reports are Telesco has this and AP's job is this? Deshaun Reed reported on December 11th. Mark Davis report, which was like AP and Tom Telesco will be evaluated differently. I know. I talked about it December 3rd. Schefter's report then on the 16th of Davis isn't backing AP. My point is, when you see all of these rumors around Telesco's kind of sounds like he's safe, and Antonio Pierce isn't safe, and then you combine that with what I was told over the weekend of the Raiders looking at Dillon Gabriel, that almost makes me that the Raiders are already planning of what our future quarterback plan looks like. And I think that it involves Tom Telesco being a part of that, and which is one of the reasons why they are eyeing Dillon Gabriel. So I'll just say this, man. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And I was told this past weekend that Tom Brady and Tom Telesco like Dillon Gabriel if they miss on Shedeur Sanders in the draft. I want y'all to save this video. I want y'all to bookmark this video because I'm telling you, I was also told that it's not out of the realm of possibilities that the Raiders look to target both those QBs. That's going to be a different video for a different day because there's a lot to uncover there, and it has a lot more to do with Aidan and Gardner and their futures with this team. But I'm telling you, the Raiders are looking at Shedeur Sanders, and if they miss on Shedeur, they might try to trade up, not into the first round, not into the second round from what I understand, but they are definitely looking at Dillon Gabriel. So let's talk about this. What do you guys think for the Raiders draft plan? You got plan A, it's Shedeur Sanders. Plan B is Dillon Gabriel. Both of these players have shown growth. Both of these players have learned how to be in a system. But more importantly, Tom Brady believes that both of these guys can execute his system and both of these guys can be successful down the road. So let's have a little bit of a fun debate here. And this is what the Raiders Report's all about. And I'm sorry if my eye's bugging. I'm sweating a little bit, and it's the first time I've had sweat in my right eye since.
You need to hop off for a sec?
I was going to say, if I can hop off and get an eye drop in, that would be amazing. But let me know. Better value. type S for Shedeur in round 1. Or if you think it's Dillon Gabriel in round 3, I have a smelly ball sack. Type D.
Go ahead. Let me know down in the comment section. If you hear something that sounds like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in the background, we do have some construction going on in the next room. So I don't think it picked up that much, but they are using a chainsaw next door, I believe. If you hear anything, that's what it is. I see S from Juan Hernandez. I see D from Reserved Intelligence. I see D from Vincenzo Miguel says S. Big Luck says S. Pat Barber's going with S. Better value, I would still go Shedeur round 1 because I think Shedeur is more likely to be a franchise quarterback, and it doesn't matter where they're drafted at that point. If one's going to be a franchise guy and you don't think the other one's going to be a franchise guy, the value's still with whoever's going to be your franchise quarterback. I mean, there's the old saying, you get what you pay for. And it might be a better value in round 3. Dillon Gabriel might be a good round 3 quarterback. But at the same time, you're telling me, hey, you could spend a little bit more and get a better product? I mean, why not? Why not? Paul says Steelers over Donkeys. I think Paul might have to hit the refresh button here in a little bit. S from Phil Manut. Phil Manut says S. Edgar Sosa says both. Draft Ginty in round 1. That's not happening. No way you're getting Ginty in round 1. That makes no. I don't see how that makes any sense for him. Dillon was a great backup from Brave. Dillon will be a great backup. Interesting. Just trade for me. Will Levis. Oh, my God. Will Levis is reportedly getting benched this week by the Tennessee Titans, which makes that Texans loss to the Titans 3 weeks ago just that much more embarrassing. Yeah, that is loud.
Oh, my God. Yeah, sorry again. If you guys hear the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're making renovations to the Chat Sports Studios.
Will Levis is actually watching our live show right now, and he just asked if the Raiders would be willing to trade for him.
No. I'm not kidding you, man.
No!
I would rather the Raiders roll out Aidan O'Connell than try to trade for Will Levis. I mean, you'd have to be so flippin' desperate to roll with Will Levis. To want to trade for Levis is crazy. And I'll admit, Tennessee has not done a good job this offseason of surrounding him with talent whatsoever, and they traded away DeAndre Hopkins, but no. That one's bad. That one would be bad. So what do we think here? Better value, Shedeur in... So technically it's Shedeur at the number 1 overall pick or Dillon Gabriel in round 3. I was told round 3 is where the Raiders would ideally like to get him because they have 2 third-round picks. So, what do you guys think? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of S's. Which, okay, Jacob says S. Barber says S. Big Luck basically is not like it would be the exact pick, but the Raiders are looking to be creative in the 3rd round if need be.
Why did you use a hashtag in your tweet today, man?
Oh, because it still pops up as Raider Nation, and I like the logo in the tweet.
Same.
And that's really just it. If, the logo wasn't there, I wouldn't do hashtag Raider Nation.
We might be banned from it. We'll get announcements.
Oh, boy. All right. Guess we're not using them anymore.
I mean, I still do agree the team logo with the hashtag,
That's why I like it. I think it looks good. I think the logo looks good, but
I don't get why he's trying to get rid of hashtags either.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah, apparently hashtags don't matter on Twitter anymore, so we'll see. Coming up next here on the show, I do want to get into our Raiders mailbag here. So use hashtag Raiders, or you can super chat, get the questions, comments flowing here, man. I would appreciate it. We'll answer probably about, 15 minutes worth of questions. And then Chugs and I are going to hop on out of here. The next time that we will be live is going to be Thursday Night Football. It's an AFC West showdown. And apparently, this is good news. No, it's not actually. It's bad news. Raheem Morris did not answer, is Kirk Cousins still your quarterback? So what's interesting about next week's Falcons game is the Falcons play the Giants. And I kind of want Kirk Cousins to start again. Or, as Penix in his first NFL career start, maybe...
Which, I mean, we're asking you to use hashtag Raiders here on the show, so it's somewhat relevant right now.
Sure.
What about the Pro Bowl vote? I thought that was going to be in consideration. You use the hashtag Pro Bowl vote plus the player's ad.
Well, I don't know who runs the Raiders social media account, but they are really bad. And the Raiders social media account originally put out the wrong hashtag for Pro Bowl vote. Somebody underneath the tweet was like, you had the wrong one. And they didn't even tag Robert Spillane. Like, they just they typed Robert Spillane's name. I don't know who runs the Raiders social media account on Twitter, but I think the only reason why they have a job is because they must be related to Mark.
Abby.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Hype says it's going to be more exciting watching Penix, but I kind of want Kirk Cousins to start one more week. Cousins to start one more week against the Giants, and maybe the Giants could run into a win. If the Giants could run into a win, because, again, the Titans and Jags, they still have to play one more time. So, like, if the Jags win against the Raiders this week, then you want to hope for the Titans to beat the Jags in Week 17. Because you can't, if you're the Raiders, you just can't afford to be out of the top 5. Now, I know the Raiders still believe that they are going to be able to go get Shedeur if they only win one game out of their next 3, but you're still giving up a lot of draft capital in order to go up and get them.
Yeah.
So.
I agreed.
Big Lock put in the Penix. I'm going to go run that media from cruising. Quite frankly, I think almost anybody could do a better job. And if somebody who does the Raiders social media on Twitter is watching this show, you can unsubscribe because I'm telling you right now, you're not good at this job. Like, it's not a good job for you. You should probably try to do something else, man. They should. Because it's not only that, it's the amount of bad, just like, again, I don't know who runs the account. Clearly not very good. All right, y'all, let's get into this mailbag here. Coming up on today's show, we got almost 600 people.
Drop your bags and touch your mail sacks.
Almost 600 people here in the building. If you haven't already, hey, make sure you click that like button. Believe it or not, it does help us out a lot. If you're somebody that leaves a tip when you go to a restaurant, think of Jugs and I as your bartender. That's all it is. Clicking a like button a lot of times can just be a simple, hey, appreciate what you do. Believe it or not, it does help us out a lot. All right, man. I want to get into this mailbag. I see a few questions that we've gotten. If you don't see your question on the show, the only way to guarantee a spot is to super chat. And if you don't super chat, then you got to use hashtag Raiders.
Either
so it'd be like
super chat or hashtag Raiders and suck up to me.
I was a little nervous where that was going. If anybody's trying to slurp up next to Jeremy, then you might be able to get in this segment.
I do accept, I am like the U.S. government, I do accept bribes. So if you want to, bribe me a little bit with maybe some candy, maybe some nice things, I don't know. I take all bribes.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you Aggressive Masterator's probably got a great van full of candy for a few questions for you. There's not a doubt.
Hey, I have some Raiders questions. Can you hop in my van? I have a ton of candy.
You got a ton of questions and candy for you in this van right now. Oh, man, that's funny. All right, coming up, Raiders mailbag time here. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to skip the line. Game time. Let me just get to my spot. All right.
Do we wait? I was going to say, do we wait a minute until after?
I'm worried if we wait
the wall's going to come down.
It's loud, but it's not like – I'm just telling y'all, if you guys are going to hear some stuff in the background, there's a lot of construction going on. Yeah, pretty amazing. Dude, do you guys think we should get Cam Ward or Sanders? Francisco? That's a question that I've answered many, many times. You ready? Aggressive masturbator. Who told you? The name told it all. All right, mailbag time. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, and it's mailbag time. All the questions that you see from today's show were answered on December 17th. And if you're like, wait a minute here, I didn't see this mailbag. Luckily for you, we're going to do another mailbag Thursday, December 19th, because we're going to be live for when the Chargers go up against the Denver Broncos on Thursday Night Football. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure those notifications are turned on. Let's go to Sean. Take Hunter with the number 1 pick, then give up 3 first rounds to move up to number 2 and go get Shedeur Sanders. I mean, the only problem with that is you don't have 3 first-round picks in order to do it. The way that the NFL draft works is you only can go like so many years in advance. So right now, the Raiders have picks in 2025, 2026, and in 2027. If you take Travis Hunter, then you're not going to have those 3 first-round picks that you're speaking of. So, you're not the first person to bring this up because people were like, oh, the Houston Texans were at number 2. They traded up to number 3. The price difference between 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 is way more than just 3 first-round picks. But if you want multiple Colorado players to join the Raiders, I know it's kind of crazy, but I don't think it's impossible that the Raiders get Shiloh because you got 2 safeties that are free agents, Marcus Epps and Trevon Merrick. But one of the receivers that a name was brought up to me was the Horn. His name's Horn for Colorado. That's somebody. I know that's who Horn. That's somebody that the Raiders are eyeing because they're looking for more speedsters at the receiver position. Let's go to the I-Man report. I'd retain AOC as the backup. 99 is for Fresno. All right, shout out to Fresno. I think if the Raiders are smart, they would shut down Aidan O'Connell for the remainder of the season, and they would make him already prepare to be the backup next season. I think AOC is going to have a long, long NFL career, and having a backup quarterback that has starting caliber experience, that has had to deal with 4 different types of play callers, making $1.2 million would be a great thing that the Raiders could do, especially with all their salary cap space. Let's go to Pablo. You're next up here. I'm Team Tank, but it still sucks to lose on Monday Night Football. I think I speak on behalf of most Raider fans when I say this. I hate being a part of Team Tank. But when you are as bad as what this season has been, it's not that I woke up week 1 going, I can't wait to be Team Tank. It's in life, certain situations happen where you got to be able to make decisions. And I have already made a decision that I believe the best thing for the Raiders going forward is for them to continue to lose to get a franchise quarterback. Because when you look at the status of the AFC West right now, great head coaches, great quarterback play, good quarterback play. The Raiders got to get a head coach, and you're going to be able to get a QB. And I know people want a guy like Travis Hunter, but you could have Travis Hunter have an amazing rookie season. Look at the season that Brock Bowers is having this season, and the Raiders are still 2-12. The easiest way to get you going in the right direction is to get that franchise quarterback. Let's go to Phillip. Should the Raiders draft Travis Hunter instead of a QB? No. I really, truly do not think so. And again, I think Hunter is an unbelievable talent. He's an incredible player. I don't think he's going to be as good as what Charles Woodson was in the NFL. And I think if I'm Travis Hunter, I think that he's going to be more of a receiver. And he's a good receiver. He's a good athlete. But I really don't know if Hunter is going to be able to live up to the status that I think a lot of people are going to expect him. Because if I'm an NFL agent, I'm going to be like, Travis, you should really only play one side of the football because you're really only going to get paid like one side. So I think he's going to be a receiver at that position. And again, like I just mentioned, Brock Bowers is having an incredible rookie season. And it doesn't really matter because until you find a quarterback, that's the one player that can really, truly change an entire football team. But hey, this show's about all of y'all, and I want you to call the shots here. Type D for draft or type P for pass. Should the Raiders draft Travis Hunter instead of going out and getting a quarterback? This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show. While that ad is playing, scroll on down, and please give me your answer. I think Travis Hunter is a phenomenal athlete, but I am all in on quarterback, and it's because That's what the Raiders need, man. The Raiders need to be able to figure out what they got at the quarterback position. Because it don't matter. If you have Travis Hunter and Brock Bowers, who's going to throw him the football? Travis Hunter, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers. Let's say you go out and get T. Higgins, and if Aidan O'Connell's your quarterback, you're not going to the playoffs. You might probably not even going to be 500. Might go, maybe be 8 or 9. I don't want to do that again. Search high. If we don't get Shedeur, draft 2 quarterbacks, Gabriel and Dart. Jackson Dart is not somebody that I am interested in at the NFL standpoint. Dylan Gabriel is a QB that I am going to start watching a little bit more film on because was not a QB that I believed too much in. But Dylan Gabriel is a QB that the Raiders are eyeing, and both Tom Telesco and Tom Brady are looking at a QB like Gabriel because of his ability to be able to execute an offense, but also his ability to understand different lingo, and because of how much football he has played, that is appealing to both Brady and Tom Telesco. Just saying. Let's go to Sensi Boytai. Did you see the leaked pic of AP out at 3 a.m. out gambling before the Steelers game? What are your thoughts? I think he should be allowed to have a life. Should he be allowed to have a life? Absolutely. I'll be real. I have not seen this picture, and I'm not going to act like I have. I'll look it up after the show, no doubt about it. Should he be allowed to have a life? Yeah, absolutely. But I also don't want my head coach out before the Raiders are getting ready to go up against the team. I don't think it's a good look, especially when you're losing games. If Dan Campbell was out at 3 a.m. in Detroit gambling, people would probably love it because they're winning football games. This is just simply comes down to the Raiders are a bad team. Therefore, I want a lot more of our focus to be on the Raiders winning football games. But, I mean, he's got a lot of debt to be able to pay off, so maybe he was gambling for a reason. If you're looking for Raiders videos every day, hit that subscribe button. But if you're a Raiders fan, that's just like, man, always down to party, always down to have a good time. I am a believer in when you surround yourself with good people, when you surround yourself with people that are just like a good group, then you're going to be able to have the best version of yourself. And because this season has been so shitty, I want people to know this is going to be a Team Tank channel for the next 3 weeks. And if you need a place to go to celebrate watching the Raiders lose to get a better pick for the future, I promise you, here's a place to go. Let's go to Nate. Free agents to sign next season. T. Higgins, Javon Holland, C.J. Reed, Trey Smith. Re-sign Spillane, Hobbs, and Merrick. I am telling you that out of the players to resign, there is one guy who wears a C on his chest. He's probably the player that most of y'all look up to the most. That guy wants Robert Spillane back, and I think that the Raiders would be dumb not to listen to him. Out of T. Higgins, Javon Holland, C.J. Reed, and Trey Smith, there's a lot of different areas there, a lot of big-name guys. I don't think that you would actually be able to go out and get all of those dudes, plus play your draftees, plus be able to re-sign, plus be able to give contract extensions out there. But out of all the names, I do know for a fact T. Higgins is a name that has been brought up amongst Raider circles, and I've been saying that one for weeks. Javon Holland would be a sneaky one, though, because he's got a lot of ties to Gerald Alexander, to some of our defensive coaches. But if you don't bring back Merrick, and if you don't bring back a guy like Marcus Epps, which I don't think that they're going to bring back Epps, Merrick has a shot. Javon Holland back there at free safety, I'm a big fan of Javon Holland, man. Let's go to Game Time, because they got the best ticket prices out there. They're sponsoring today's show, and I'm telling you this right now. I love Game Time. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season, and you know what? That's what a Raiders mailbag is all about, togetherness. And that means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better. And I think it's the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. What I love about using the Game Time app is that you get the lowest price guaranteed on any ticket to any event. All-in pricing so you don't get slapped with some of these crazy fees at checkout, and flash deals so you can get even cheaper tickets the closer you wait to Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, obviously, but again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS. If you don't know how to spell it, it's up there. If you don't know how to spell it, it's down there. The company that I work for is freaking ChatSports. Get it together. What time is it? It's Game Time. Promo code CHATSPORTS. Links in the comment section. It's in the description if you need a cool holiday gift. Game Time's here to help you out. Let's go to Derek. What's up, my man? Is this the worst Raiders team in the last 25 years? This is a topic that we were talking about, obviously, on the live show. I mean, the 06 Raiders were bad. The Jamarcus Russell Raiders. I just think that this team would beat any Jamarcus Russell-led team. I had a few other people saying the 2014 Raiders were bad. So I'll ask the nation, is this the worst Raiders team in the last 25 years? Let's go to MGA. Does Patrick Graham return as DC next season? To be real with you, I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Raiders are going to clean house when they move on from Antonio Pierce. The name that they want is Mike Vrabel. It just depends if Mike Vrabel wants the job, from what I understand. I think Patrick Graham is a great defensive-minded coach, and if you can get a better DC than PG, I'll be real with you, I'll be a little bit surprised, because even though the Raiders have had a lot of guys banged up on defense, their defense still isn't playing all that bad. Like that game against Atlanta. Was it a great game? No, but you still were able to get stops when you needed to be able to get stops, and the Falcons have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the football. I want the Raiders defensive staff to try to stay together, because I do think they have a lot of really good coaches on that side of the football, but I get how the business goes, and if Mike Vrabel is hired and he wants his own guys, it is what it is, man. Let's go to Call Me Later. Adam Schefter thinks the Raiders should keep AP. Do you? I actually don't know if that's true, what you're saying, that Schefter thinks that the Raiders should keep AP. I heard Schefter talking about the fact that he believed that Pierce was dealt a bad hand, and I agree in that regard that Pierce was dealt a bad hand. But if there's one thing that I've learned from covering this team, and I think a lot of people are probably learning the more and more you watch the Raiders report, the more you watch a lot of these Raiders content creators out there. Schefter has more sources, but Schefter doesn't know more about the Raiders than anybody probably watching this show right now. And I think people from the outside looking in are just going, Raiders have a bad quarterback, and the Raiders have a lot of injuries, so that's not fair on Antonio Pierce. You're not wrong. But also, have you watched Antonio Pierce every single game this season? Because I have, and he hasn't done a good job being a head coach. So do you want AP to be back next season with the silver and black? Give me a yes. Give me a no. If you say yes, he is under contract. He made that clear during his interview on Tuesday. If you say no, be an overachiever and give me your prediction who you think that next Raiders head coach is going to be. Do I want AP back next season? I do not. And I say that because we can do better at the head coaching spot. When you're a CEO type of head coach and you don't call plays on offense, defense, hell, even special teams, you need to be able to prove to me that you are not only making good in-game decisions, but also doing the right things to have your team ready. And I know that the Raiders are playing hard, and they are. The Raiders are playing hard, and they played hard on Monday Night Football. But I also want a head coach that's got control of his team. And you look at Janarius Robinson, just got suspended for 3 games. You got a guy like Charles Snowden, just had a DUI, and that situation looks really ugly. Antonio Pierce, not saying he's lost the locker room, it's still a locker room that very much respects AP. But as bad as what this season has been, I don't know how anybody wants to keep Antonio Pierce as head coach. Let's go to Big Luck. Outside of quarterbacks, how confident are you in Telesco to build the trenches? I mean, he went out, he got Christian Wilkins. I thought they did a good job getting John Jenkins, Adam Butler. Those were 2 good spots in the trenches. Your offensive line, JPJ is a dog. DJ Glaze has had his ups and downs, but that's going to happen. Dylan Parham's a solid player. If they want to keep Colton Miller, they're going to have to give him another contract. I'm just telling you, he's going to want an extension. He's got 0 guaranteed on it. Yeah, they brought back Andre James, which definitely did not work out. But, I trust Tom Telesco, who had a very good draft this past season. But I trust Telesco not only to find a QB, to be able to try to build in the trenches, because he values the trenches. Not every coach values the trenches as much as Telesco does. And I think when you see how bad the O-line was this past year, the Raiders are going to make it a priority yet again. That's where I think a lot of that money's going to go. Let's go to Zalesbo. What do you think about the suspension of Robinson? I think Janarius Robinson is a knucklehead. I think Robinson shouldn't have even been on the team in the first place, because I just don't get how the Las Vegas Raiders continue to employ people that get DUIs. And I get it. People are like, Mitch, I had one guy tell me, Mitch, it's just a DUI. If you look at just the DUI in a situation just by itself, it's a knuckleheaded thing to do. I get it. Is it something that's worth losing your job over? No, it's not. When you combine that situation with the Henry Ruggs situation, this definitely deserves to lose a job. The Raiders are a very well-respected organization, and they have the Fred Bilenikoff rule, right, where they're not going to bring in anybody for domestic violence. Even though Janarius Robinson did not hurt anybody, even though even though Charles Snowden did not hurt anybody, and even though Janarius Robinson, when he had his DUI in the offseason, didn't hurt anybody, the point is still, how can you make these really bad decisions when you know that somebody on your team just a few years ago made that type of decision? But the suspension around Robinson is solely just based on PEDs, and maybe he was just trying to get on the field. Maybe he was trying to recover from an injury because the Raiders only have 3 defensive ends on the roster right now. Tyree Wilson, Janarius Robinson, and did I already say Tyree Wilson? And Caleb Von Chasen. Yeah. Let's go to Thugador. AP is a Raider at heart, and I believe deep down he wants what's best for us, which is to tank, but cannot on purpose in fear of losing his job for next year. Feel like you put it in a good way. You can get a bad hand and still find a way to win, but you need to be smart and play your cards right, and AP hasn't. Like, I don't think that AP wants to lose because of what's best for the Raiders. AP, if anything, probably wants to win to show that, you know what, I can win in the NFL, that I can do this thing despite everything that the Raiders have dealt with. But we also have to be able to just be honest with ourselves, right? Like, I think that this is one of those situations where I had this discussion in Vegas with a Raiders fan, had the same thing around Antonio Pierce, and my analogy to him was like, you want your kid to go to college, and you pay money to get your kid to go into college, right? We wanted Antonio Pierce to be the head coach, and Antonio Pierce is the head coach. But if your kid goes to college and he's a knucklehead and he's drinking, he's spending money, he's failing, he's getting shitty grades, are you going to be a parent that goes, you know what? Let's put him in college again. Let's get him in there another year. I think sometimes you just got to be able to read the tea leaves and go, it's not for everybody. And being a head coach in the NFL is not for everybody. Antonio Pierce is going to get another shot to coach. He's just not going to get another shot to be a head coach. Let's go to John Rodriguez. Army quarterback for me. I'll be, no. No. Jalen, Neighbors and Bowers both have 90 catches. Who's going to finish this season with more grabs? So I know a lot of you are like, is Brock Bowers going to break the rookie reception record this season? Bowers has got 90 catches in 14 games. Neighbors has got 90 grabs in 12 games. If Aidan O'Connell is the starter for the next 3 games, Bowers will break the record. If Desmond Ridder is the QB, then I don't know if Bowers will, simply because of how bad Desmond Ridder is and how bad the offense is with him. I was going to say under center, but he don't even go under center. Out of shotgun. If you guys want to tune in and hang out with us, Chug said the poop bowl. This might be the game I'm most looking forward to. That's actually, no, it's week 18. If we're in this position week 18, that game's going to be electric. But also, Monday Night Football was electric. I mean, we had for the first time in a long time over 4,000 people watching, which usual Raiders Report seasons, that's nothing, right? Like, we usually get 4, 5, 10, 15,000 people watching a watch party at one time because people care about the game. I think for the first time in a long time, people are starting to care because of the tank. And it's like, if we've made it through this much of a shit season, I don't want all of that to go to waste. But you got a 3-11 Jags team on the road up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Mac Jones probably up against Aidan O'Connell again. I'm making this video on a Tuesday, and everything AP said, it sounded like AOC is going to be the guy. But when you really look at how the number 1 overall pick could fall and where the Raiders quarterback situation is, this is a monumental game. And the Raiders need to do the right thing and lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Go Jags.
Just the guy.
I'm just a chill guy who likes the Jags to win this week.
What does your family eat during the holidays? It's a tough question because I think...
Well, just more the... I phrase this more for like Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, like whatever holiday that you're celebrating in your family. Like, I've never really had like a Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
For your and I know Christmas is unlike Thanksgiving, where every family kind of does it a little differently.
I know the answer for Alex's family.
Tamales.
That's basic.
That's every night. Yeah.
No, and I actually don't know the exact name, so I need some of my.
I feel like Trace's family would be like Gumbo.
Probably.
Trace, what do the Gerards eat on Christmas? Wagyu steaks. Damn. Okay.
All right. Prime rib. I see brisket from Rhino, pozole from King's Day. The one thing that Alex's mom always makes on Christmas, and it's like unbelievable, it's a type of pork, and it's like got a special, it's like a special like sauce. You put some like pickled onions, pickled onions on top. But it's a certain kind of pork that people make only on special occasions in Mexico, and it is an unbelievable taco.
I think I know what you're talking about.
It's not birria. It's not birria, and I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, is it not carnitas, but what is it?
No, it's not that. As soon as I see it, I'm gonna know. Let me see. I'll text Alex real quick. What are the tacos your mom makes for Christmas? Like, I'm not kidding you.
Cochinita?
Cochinita. Yes. Yes. Dude. Cochinita. That's it. Yes.
Cochinita Pibil?
Dude, I'm not kidding you. It's the best taco I've ever had. Like, just like the meat standpoint. It's one of the, like, I almost said last season. Last season on Christmas. Well, I'll also say this. After that Chiefs game, I got home, and I've told this story before. I was really banged up, and I was freaking out her mom. I think I ate 10. I'm not even kidding. Like, I think I just housed like 10 of them.
Apparently, you're supposed to cook it all day.
Yes. It is on B. I'll try to save one for you.
Say, just one?
Well, I won't see you for like 5 days.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'll try to save more. I just think that it's probably going to get down to
just
one.
Bring it here for Christmas.
I'm not. What do you mean? I'm off.
Just come into the studio.
Yeah, that'll go over well. Babe, I'll be right back. My mom's coming down to Dallas. My mom's actually coming to Dallas Saturday. She's never seen Chat Sports.
Ever.
Well, she saw the one in the OG days. My last time my mom came down here was 2018.
Chase said mac and cheese.
I mean, mac and cheese always hits. When I was a kid growing up, there was a few years before my stepdad passed away. He would get lobster, and it would be like the only time all year that we would get lobster. It was like the
Do you like lobster?
I do. I like crab more than I like lobster.
We got to do that thing.
Don't get. I'll tell you, that place, we got to go. We got to try it out. There's a Vegas spot. I sent Chugs, and I go, this is the place I want to go to. It's got to be a place that we go to. Al Pastor from Chip. I got you. Mitchell, have you heard about?
Oh, Talisha. How
Dennis
we doing?
Allen. No, I've never had that for the holidays.
What?
Dennis Allen. No, I have not. It melts in your mouth, dude. Not in your hand. All right, y'all. Here's what's going to happen.
Sounds good.
Yep. Coach Anita, she said, pronounce the B in Pavil as Pavil. Coach Anita Pavil. There you go. That's what it is. Yep. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, it's unflippin' believable.
I really thought you were gonna hit me with lasagna.
On my dad's side. I mean, on my dad's side, we eat a bunch. I mean, it's basically whatever the hell they want. Steak. My grandma used to make stuffed shells. My German side of my family, my grandma makes red cabbage and potato
Raiders
balls.
breaking news.
Uh-oh.
Raiders released Cole Fotheringham.
Cole Fotheringham has been released by the Las Vegas Raiders, so he's a tight end. He's
I believe he's on the practice
squad. Yeah.
My phone was just having a seizure because Aaron Wilson did his patented 12 tweets at once scheduled, and it was Raiders release this guy, Panthers release this guy, Bucks release this guy, and I just saw Raiders on there.
Hey, go Raiders, eh? All right, y'all. Chugs and I are going to hop on out of here. Reminder, the next time that you guys are going to see us is going to be on Thursday. We're going to go live.
Got a great game Thursday night.
Broncos-Chargers. And
huge game. The loser of this game more than likely will have to go on the road to Buffalo for the wild card round. So both these teams are going to be playing their ass off because the loser, like I said, going to have to travel to Buffalo first round of the playoffs.
I'm probably going to root for the Chargers. No?
I got to root for the Broncos. Because I would rather have the Texans face the Broncos.
I agree with that.
It matches up that way, and whoever loses this is more than likely going to be the 7 seed.
Yep.
Texans aren't going to get the 2 seed. So the way it works out, I'd rather the Broncos have to, and I also selfishly.
What about a tie?
A tie would be amazing.
I'll say Mateus said tie.
I want a tie.
We got to root for a tie.
There has not been a tie in the NFL this year, and I have been fiending.
I think we got to root for a tie.
I have been itching for a tie.
If a tie happens,
I don't even know how it affects the playoff race from there.
If it ends in a tie, I'm going to wear a tie. Oh, see that water just pop out of there? I don't know how I did that. I'm going to wear a tie on the Raiders game then on Sunday. Just a tie.
Yeah.
I mean, you wear a tie and do this, sweating. I'm telling you. I've done it before.
Also, selfishly, I think Bills, Chargers, first round, Herbert versus Josh Allen would be a really good matchup.
I agree, but Herbert and Harbaugh scare me on the road against Buffalo, where I'll be real.
In a cold weather game.
Bo Nix in a cold weather game, I think Buffalo takes care of them easily. I do.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo beats Denver easily, where the Chargers could give the Bills some trouble.
I think Chargers-Bills, that score is going to be like 45-42.
That's a lot of points. I hope that's not how that game goes. I hope it's a blowout. I think the Bills, I mean, when they're playing their best, you can make an argument that that's the best team in the NFL. They just took care of business against Detroit. So
Texans worked them on week 5.
I think I was going to say, if the Raiders don't win the Super Bowl this year, I think the team that I would root for would be the Bills in the AFC and then the Lions in the NFC. I think a lot of teams would probably be like a lot of people here. Not you, but
we're the Texans.
I mean, I do root for the Texans for you. Like, they have like slowly turned into the other team that I root for because of you. But at the same time,
and just think of it,
I would rather the Bills win.
Just think of it. Rooting for the Texans, you're rooting for somebody who should have been a Raider in C.J. Stroud. If Josh McDaniels didn't get in the way.
That's like saying the girl that you were supposed to marry, who now is apparently a supermodel. Like, you're not rooting for that. Like, she's like, no. You had a chance to date a supermodel, and you passed on it. She loved you, but you said no. Chug's like, I still
not even you. Your boy, your best friend was like, dude, don't do it. Josh McDaniels was your boy at the time, and he was like, trust me, it's not gonna work out. Hang with me in my garage apartment. You don't need her.
I live in a van down by the river. Like, that's Josh McDaniels. All right, y'all. See you on Thursday for a hell of a matchup for me, for Jeremy Chugs. Much love to all of y'all out there, and have a good day.